What video game should Uwe Boll have done next? Or Uwe Boll, sorry, I should use the correct pronunciation that we've subsequently learned.
I'm pretty happy with any sort of movie, video game that is fourth wall breaking enough, which attempts to murder the director, the arts director. I don't quite know what that is, but maybe some indie game.
Or Deadpool the game? Is that too confusing to have Uwe Boll adapt Deadpool the game back into a movie, and then Deadpool just murders Uwe Boll and his team?
Yeah, my concern is that he even gets even close to that to the Deadpool
legitimacy.
Maybe like Undertale or something, because he probably wouldn't understand it, and the fans are so rabid that they might actually kill him.
They might finally rally. That tune plays.
Honestly. Did you know this movie was released on January 6th? So it'd actually be something appropriate to riot about.
Wow, what a terrifying forebodings of the bloody nature of January the 6th. Oh god, the man is literally a visionary.
In the worst possible ways.
Yeah.
Truly everything he's like the reverse Midas.
It'd be like if Nostradamus really packaged his prophecies in just the most abhorrent material possible. It's like, wow, this awful, like, pornographic mag thing actually really does predict the future. I'm not interested enough to check you on that.
Yeah, I'll take your word for it. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's great. I'm sure whatever the future has. No, it's a terrible glimpse into the future. It's dark and brooding. Sure. Yeah.
It says you're going to get hit by a car now. That's fine, mate.
I don't care. It's fine. I'd rather not pick up Uwe Boll. Whatever.
Future Nomicon.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to One Good Thing, the podcast that would sooner rot in your dungeon than sit at your table. I'm Paul, the King of the Vampires, and with the Halloween episode finally out of the way, it's back into recommendations month. And where better to start than with the thinking man's role to caster, Christopher Bond?
Hello, that is I. I am him. He is me.
Sure is. Tell us about your works and deeds on this earth.
Apparently, I'm the thinking man's role to caster, which is... my name is Chris Bond. I'm a podcaster, director for both theatre and film. And the podcast that I work on predominantly is Roll to Cast, a tabletop role-playing game podcast, which examines new role-playing games. Not the Dragon game, but many others. And we play them with some good people, with some excellent music, and try and tell compelling stories using the systems that we're introduced to, with the settings as well. So a good role-playing fun time.
Absolutely. That's such a good and concise description of that.
Of what you guys do there. Caster.
Thinking man's, absolutely.
There we
You
are.
should have heard what we got out of Sean when he was on. It was just
screaming, moaning.
Violent. Yeah, absolutely. Just,
he loves those things.
Powerful.
Oh, yeah.
But,
he's the emotive man.
Comprehend.
Yeah,
he's the emotional man's role to cast.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Well, dear. Chris has offered us Keegan's gratitude, it's Kagan, isn't it?
Kagan.
He's offered us Kegel's gratitude or Kagan's wrath by forcing us to plummet the absolute depths of Uwe Boll once again. It's his 2005 video game adaptation, Bloodrayne.
A father, a daughter, a mighty leader.
She could mean the end, the beginning of the world as we know it.
A prophet, a young hero, a guardian. A land ruled by evil. A secret society of avengers.
This is the headquarters of the Brimstone Society.
I do not intend to stop fighting for a second.
Will the world be ruled by light or darkness?
Prepare to witness the beginning of the new era.
Bloodrayne. The adventure begins.
Yes, this is Boll's third video game adaptation after House of the Dead and the previously OGT'd Alone in the Dark. Have you seen either?
No, fortunately.
Yes, very fortunately. Now, the screenplay was by American Psycho co-writer Genevieve Turner, Speaking in the documentary Tales from the Script, Turner described working with Boll, saying that she turned in the scrappy first draft 2 weeks late, eliciting a torrent of abuse from Boll over the phone, and was amazed that rather than just receive feedback and then, work on subsequent drafts, he accepted it and started filming.
He's a working man. He's got to get to work.
Is it? He's got to get to work, It's 2 weeks late. He expected to have it done by now.
2 weeks late is not good enough. We've got to get to work. I've hired these actors, and there's nothing I can do. Nothing. My hands are tied. Uwe Boll.
I actually sent you the wrong script. We're filming it.
We're filming it right now. All of the script that you sent us immediately straight onto the cast.
Turner has suggested that only about 20% of her screenplay was actually used. The rest is pure Boll.
There's nothing in the world worse than anything being pure Boll.
Oh, God. He's like Mike Lee in a sense. He meets with his actors, he crafts the characters, and then he just sees what happens, in the moment.
That's certainly a description that you've chosen to do there. That's a comparison.
Absolutely.
One. Yeah. Put that on twitter.com and see what happens, I think. And
see what happens.
The film world and see what happens.
Hey, it's a whole new era for Twitter, and I feel like my opinions are going to be more welcome than ever now.
I think everyone's are. Regardless of their quality, just like this film.
Sheer anarchy. Twitter is now like an Uwe Boll set. Oh, God. So, yes, star of the film and very welcome returning OGT star, Billy Zane, hunky Billy Zane, said that Boll has totally made his mark and put the naysayers and critics to rest with this film. And that kind of mutual respect can really make a big difference to a film. After the movie flopped, Uwe Boll blamed Billy Zane and sued him for $700,000.
Cool.
Hey.
What a thing to do.
What a thing to do. Zane apparently recommended the distributors and was involved in the distributors for the American release, and then apparently they promised to put it in like 2,000 theaters, but they only put it in like 700, and so he held Billy Zane personally responsible and tried to sue him.
Right. That's a reasonable thing to do.
Absolutely. I'm sure absolutely was not done just to raise headlines, which he will do at any cost.
Yes. It sure fucking seems that way. Terrible human being. Let's just be honest.
Absolutely awful man. Speaking of awful men, critics felt that the film's form was weak and lacking in passion. Roger Moore, no, not that one, at Orlando Sentinel, said, "Who is Uwe Boll? And why does he hate moviegoers so? A German hack? Why? Why is this? Who is this man and his vendetta?"
If I ever was described as that by any person as a working director, if anyone was like, "Who is this Chris Bond and why does he hate theatre goers or film goers or TV goers or YouTubers or anything that I have touched," I would be barely asleep at night, looking at the ceiling, going, "Oh, I've ruined my entire life. This is it. This is terrible."
Why does he hate us so? Who hurt
I've
this man?
done such harm. I don't think Uwe has a minute of self-reflection like I might, but there you go. I'll compare myself to him. Is there any reviews that are glowing?
I think it had like 4%, so 4% of critics liked this movie.
Whoa.
I did not examine very closely that 4%, but, coincidentally, 4% of movie critics are serial killers. So.
Yes, that is statistically accurate.
The public, meanwhile, would not stop throwing things at me. Serenity Lewis, in a 5-star review for Google, says, "I was named after this movie. Rain is my middle name."
Oof.
Oh, dear.
Fucking Christ.
Woof. Maybe this is like all those kids who got called like Daenerys or Khaleesi or something. It's like maybe these people like named their kids in the first 5 minutes of the movie and didn't stay to see how it panned out.
Even the first 5 minutes, I feel like you should have better sense than that. I think maybe they played the video game and were like, people know movies. They judge video games way harsher than they judge movies. It's okay to be named after imagine naming your daughter like Zelda.
Oh, that would be ridiculous.
That'd
There's
be
no way a massive
crazy.
celebrity would legitimize that kind of behavior.
I'm going to make a dark joke. You couldn't live with yourself. Oh, how's that? Terrible.
You're going to have to
Jesus
check with
Christ.
the board members as to whether that stays in.
5 stars. Are you kidding me?
I know.
Ooh.
What happened, Serenity Rain Lewis? Serenity Uwe Boll Lewis. Oh, God. They named me after this in the worst possible way you could. Oh, dear. There are lots of actors in common with Alone in the Dark, as you'd expect, but we only have two repeat offenders of note. We have Mike Dopard, who has quietly become a five-man after appearances in Alone in the Dark, Ballistic X vs. Sever, The Predator, and Postal. He always plays like anonymous army guys.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a very funny day on set for him. He must have a great working relationship, and I'm sure everyone has a giggle and probably 10 drinks.
I would absolutely love someone to be able to tell me as to who was the better who maintained the cinematic atmosphere on set better. Uwe Boll, whoever directed Ballistic X vs. Sever, Shane Black, and Uwe Boll again.
Yeah,
so
Uwe
he's
Boll
mostly
again.
a bowler.
Yeah, that's sort of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Uwe probably just plies him with alcohol.
He wakes up on a different set every day.
Honestly. Ship him into it wherever they store the lights. Just pack him away.
They've got shipped up extras back there in
all right,
crates.
I'm off then. I'm going to get put in my box and off I go.
Bring him out. We need another random army man.
Yeah.
Well, never mind that. Because Billy Zane is now a three-man.
Jeez. What
I
a
know.
noble thing for him to have accomplished. You should tweet at him.
I think so.
If he's on Twitter.
I should let him know.
Yeah.
I feel like he won't be. He's too beautiful to be on Twitter.
I agree.
Says me, a Twitter user.
However, he is a three-man, so maybe he's not that beautiful.
Yeah, well, he rocked our worlds in The Phantom. It's almost not worth including The Phantom because both Jen and I spent the entire podcast talking about how dreamy and beautiful he is. And he was inexplicably unmemorable in Holmes and Watson. Like, I have no memory of him being in Holmes and Watson whatsoever, but I have Watson ever. But I have tried to block that entire thing out of my head, so...
That's wise.
Yeah.
As a John C. Reilly fan, I was disappointed. Fundamentally disappointed.
He can sing
really
better than Will Ferrell.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Got to learn that.
Oh, free to a man, free in the bush, free, yo. Films are shit, mate.
The film has 4% on Rotten Tomatoes, 18% on Metacritic, wow, 68% on Google, sweet Christ, and was a massive flop at the box office. But because of Uwe Boll's usual box office shenanigans, he was able to use it as a tax write-off for his investors. That's what all these movies come down to. So, Chris, you ungrateful bitch.
That's me.
Can I see your teeth? By which I mean, why Bloodrayne, for God's sake?
Yeah, I felt bad about Postal, is why. So I thought...
I forgot that you were Postal.
Yeah, that was me. So a while ago, for people who are One Good Thing fans who have been listening for a while, I recommended Postal, Uwe Boll film from, I think, 2007. I think it's
Yes.
Postal. And
yes, I believe so.
I did that largely out of spite because I
Rightly
was like,
so.
you know what? The One Good Thing boys have been working really hard. They've been working really diligently, trying to find films that are, that have good things in them. Can I recommend something that is so hateful, so mean, so spiteful, so unredeemably bad that the act of looking for good things in it feels icky? And then I was sick the day that we were supposed to record because I had COVID.
You were. That's right. Sorry, I remember
No,
all of this
it's
now.
all
That was a
good.
lucky break.
Yeah, well, I
watching Postal.
I felt really bad because I was like, part of that should be on me. And I should share in that. If I'm going to subject people to some misery, I should share in it. So this is the next best thing.
Hooray!
This is my way of
and
making
I'm
it
along
up
for
to
the
you.
ride.
Yeah, that's right. And Goodman manages to dodge out. But yes, this is me making up for me not being on Postal. This is another terrible film of a similar, same director, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
video game movies. So I'm here for it. That is entirely why I've suggested this film. But also I like vampires. So if it's going to be bad, it better fucking suck in the best ways possible.
Suck.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, look at that. That's some classic British humour right there. Classic.
It sure is. We love vampires over here.
True.
So, yeah, absolutely. Well, we shall come down to how that decision kind of shaped up later on. But for now, let's go over some of the finer details of the plot of this here Bloodrayne. Yeah, we start with some credits that reveal some of the names we can look forward to being bored later.
Yeah. The term special appearances appears on my screen, and I'm
Yes!
like, ooh, interesting.
Yes, followed by an and, if I remember correctly. It was like special appearance by Billy Zane. And who was the and?
Michelle Rodriguez.
It was Michelle Rodriguez.
Ben Kingsley.
And Ben Kingsley, of course.
Yeah.
But no, special appearance by Billy Zane. That is justified. Michael Madsen, Michelle Rodriguez, and some guy walk into a bar. And they are 3 adventurers looking for a quest. And an unknown man, the unknown man of the group, kills a random vampire, just outright to everybody else's bemusement.
Yep.
And the DM is like, no, we had a whole quest! Ugh.
What do you mean you can just use your mirror to look at vampires? Will that be a thing that comes up later in, maybe with like reflections or no? So
No, this is literally the only time we'll mention that.
What are we setting up? Oh, we're moving on. Great. Okay, very good.
Yeah,
very good, Mr.
That'll very much be the theme of this particular film. I wonder where this is going to go. Oh,
okay, it went there.
So the barkeep, who we'll never see again, is like, hey, go check out this crazy Carney performer. She has video game protagonist powers. Okay.
All right, she sounds powerful. Like
Sounds
a video
like a place
game.
we could go.
Yeah. I love the
They better be careful, though, because King Ben Kingsley is building up a big army and is worried that the video game hero might be getting in the way of that. Yeah, so he sends off people to get her, I think, at this stage, like random bald dude.
I think at this stage she is... he finds out about her after she flips out. So,
okay.
Yeah, so we go to the circus, and that's all fun. And would you fucking believe it? The scumbag, Uwe Boll, himself is in a shot. If you look at around minute 4:36, he's there with a fucking terrible wig, clapping and leering like he does, wearing a digital watch. Just fully in shot.
Douchebag.
In this fucking classic, like, era, like, medieval thing. Or 18th century. Whatever the time zone this is supposed to be in. We're introduced to this woman who, when she gets dripped with water, she burns, and then a man starts cutting on her, and he's like, oh, then we're going to feed her some animal blood and she'll heal it. Oh, isn't she a weirdo? And I'm like, buddy, you cut on a woman and jeered at her. That's fucking weird. There were mothers hiding children's eyes. It was terrible.
That would be amazing if the whole crowd just took against this guy. It'd be like if in the Elephant Man, they just like, the terrible elephant man. And the whole crowd just look at the guy who just unveiled him and like, what is wrong with you?
You suck.
He's a human being.
Yeah, they get the line. They get the famous line.
Yeah, they get the line.
Collectively, it's actually like a severe like reflection as we as people are the ones who have to uphold this morality standard. But no, because the audience has Uwe Boll in it, that would never happen.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's an Uwe Boll crowd.
Yes, he's among the many, and unfortunately, the human race is terrible because he exists.
Yeah. Well, later that night, after all of that, after they've all gone home, she's in her cage, and then Michael Madsen creeps in and starts creepily groping her, and oh, no, that's not Michael Madsen, my actual mistake.
Yeah.
I could have sworn. It's just a random carny, so she goes nuts and kills everyone and runs into the woods, although none of that happens necessarily in the order I just said.
No, for no reason whatsoever.
Yep.
The minute
and it happens again later.
Yeah, it's just like... She has escaped. We for some reason as an audience are orientated to see her in a forest, and her breathing is labored and weirdly erotic. And then we flash back to literally like 10 minutes ago where she does the escape up until the point where she gets to, and there's not cutting between that and another location.
And it's not like summarized or condensed into like a fractured memory. We just see it.
It just happens. It's almost as if the fight choreography was really bad, and then they've decided to try and save it with nauseating editing, which nearly did make me sick. in a very
Oh my
real
God.
sense. I nearly threw
Yes.
up. It was terrible.
Not just for the art of fight choreography, but actually physically, I got nausea.
Yeah.
Oh God. Well, speaking of opposite of nausea, Billy Zane appears and is apparently Michelle Rodriguez's father and is the head of the anti-Kingsley force. But twist. He's a vampire now, according to very subtle marks on his neck that he is not trying very hard to cover.
He also is the most casual and contemporary character in this whole thing, where he's just like, oh yeah, whatever.
I need you to bring this artifact to me. It must be protected from those who wish to use it to undermine me. To scratch that, to undermine freedom and humanity. And together we will stop this madness and bring peace to these lands, your beloved father, etc., etc.
Like that sort of language, whereas everyone else is going like thee and thou, and we shall meet again when the moon is at its apex. And he's like, yeah, whatever, that sounds good.
Oh, it's like The Favourite. Maybe this is brilliant. So yeah,
maybe
so
this is
that.
brilliant.
We'll find out. Video game girl meets with the seer Geraldine Chapman, who tells her tales of Robert Altman and the lost art of filmmaking. But also, watch out for the man who killed your mother. He's Ben Kingsley now, and you need to get this MacGuffin before he does.
Yeah, do it. And also watch me in season 3 of The Crown on Netflix.
That too.
Yeah, she's in The Crown. What a lovely woman.
Yeah.
What a great
Oh, she's
fortune
great.
teller. I should tell her fortune about how she's going to play season 3 of The Crown on Netflix.com.
I should tell her fortune. Don't worry, it's going to get much, much better than this.
Everyone else is going to be doing way less compared to you. You come out of this looking amazing somehow.
Is Michael Madsen still alive? I bet he is.
Yeah, he is. Should he be? Yes, also. But is he doing any favors for himself? Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not.
So, yeah. You know, it's always uncanny when you know exactly where the placeholder music the director used to instruct the soundtrack artist comes from. Mm-hmm. So, just for the audience's sake, here's a bit of rain riding across the mountains towards the next location. And here's a bit of Hans Zimmer's music for the Ring remake. Yeah, it's that.
Wow.
It's just that.
That whole music, that was the strangest thing I've ever heard. That music where she's riding across, I was like,
yeah,
it's like bidoo, 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 bidoo. Yep. It's so strange.
Yep. It's from the Ring. I don't know why. I have no idea why, but it is clearly from the Ring. It is the weirdest thing. But yes, she gets to a monastery where this eye is meant to be. I think it's an eye. I think they reveal it's an eye.
Yes, the eye.
She's after something.
Yes.
And the first actual laugh of the movie for me happens when Udo Kier appears as a monk. But yeah, I think about what Paul Verhoeven might have done with that casting and shed a single tear and accept that this is Uwe Boll and brace myself to be bored.
And aren't we bored together? There's a monster in the basement.
There is, and she has what I felt was a very Buffy-esque fight with him.
By that you mean it looks like it was edited in half the time a film should be, like, filmed and
like a 24 episode strong show. Yeah.
In with
the 90s.
Similar prosthetics. The vampires do look like they've been ripped straight from Buffy.
They keep doing the face thing.
They keep doing the Buffy face thing. That's a thing that our main character, whose name is Rain, by the way, just in case people missed that subtle titling. Her name is Rain, and she likes blood. Ipso facto, we get jokes. But yes, she can tell vampires now. Apparently, maybe sometimes.
Oh yeah,
vampires.
Oh yeah,
yeah. But she has a big fight with a big man with a hammer. And then she disarms him of his hammer. So he gets another big hammer, but with spikes on it. And she disarms him with that, and then breaks his head. Who is he employed by? The church? I hope not, because that means he was probably a priest. And the priest and the temple are probably down a soldier that they could have used, because they seem like on the up and up.
Yeah, it's really been difficult to maintain this whole thing, because in the next room is a Naughty's trap sequence that's very over-designed that she has to get through. And she does, and she absorbs the power of the eye and is now no longer allergic to water.
Yes.
And
Thank
at that
goodness.
stage, she's able to have a conversation with the monks, including Udo Kier, who explains that they have been protecting the eye for centuries, feeding the troll, polishing all those spinning blades. It's been a full-on several centuries of work.
It has been very hard work that you dealt with in maybe less than 5 minutes, Miss Rain.
So, good for you. My granddad used to feed that troll.
My father
But you did it.
polished blade number 8 and lost many fingers doing it, but it was all worth it. Well, you did it in 3 minutes. You defeated our elaborate traps in 3 minutes.
But at least it taught you a very valuable lesson about teamwork. I don't know.
You did it by yourself? I see.
Oh, shit.
I see. Well,
It was actually
we're
really
useless.
easy if you had teammates. Like,
Yeah.
there was a riddle in the first part. Did you solve the riddle?
What
I
riddle?
might have just gone past the riddle.
There was a riddle?
Fuck me.
Fucking Jesus.
Fuck me.
We spent... It's wordplay. It's very clever. Go back. Do you mind? Do you mind
Do
going
it again,
back?
Barry.
Do it again.
You be
Do
the
it again.
troll. No.
Take some friends. Take some friends. It's like an escape room that you've just cheated your way through.
You can literally just go up and kick the box open if you try hard.
Yeah, that's right. Beat up the attendant.
It's against the spirit of the game, they'll say, as you walk away with the prize.
Yeah, that's right.
So, you're not finished yet, though. There are many other MacGuffins hidden around a diverse set of locations, each of which will provide you with the powers that you'll need to beat the next one. I'd rather spend most of this in a single location to make it easier on filming.
The concept for the MacGuffins are pretty cool. They are the dead remains of a very powerful vampire. And
True.
that other vampires can use to ignore the problems of being a vampire. So it's like, you're not allergic to sunlight, you're not allergic to water, and you're not allergic to something fire?
It's so video game, though. You could totally see like getting those power-ups and now being, I'm not allergic to the sun now. I can access that level earlier that was blocked off by that sun thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So I can get there. It's very
Conceptually,
Soul
it's
Reaver.
not bad as an idea. It's very video gamey, but stay in your lane. I mean, do what you do.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely.
Oh, also Ben's her dad. I think we've talked about that, but just in case.
Oh, yes. That's right. Yes, he assaulted the mum. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it was SA, and we don't appreciate that sort of assault.
We don't like that
like
kind
that.
of stuff going on around here. Mr. Kingsley.
Mr. Kingsley,
So-
none of that, please. Your wooden acting, even in an SA scene, is inappropriate.
Ridiculous hair.
None of that. Thank you.
Absolutely not.
Bad.
So, who delivers? Oh, that's right. Udo Kier starts giving like a expositional flashback of the bad guys. But twist, it's not a flashback. That's happening outside right now when the monastery's being attacked. So, yeah, there's a fight. Nothing really comes of it. But later...
because they don't have that troll.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. If the temple was being attacked, they could have defended themselves with the troll man, but...
Oh, yeah, that troll was really instrumental to the defense strategy.
Rain, you idiot.
I can't believe you killed Barry.
Barry was hardworking. He was a member of the priesthood. He wrote a thesis.
He might have been the most fierce one of us.
Yeah, and learned.
There's so much more to him than that hammer.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rain gets captured and brought to Meatloaf's orgy.
Yay!
And,
Meatloaf's in this movie, people. And he wasn't
Meatloaf's here!
Yay!
Is that a gift you laid at my feet down the stair? How delightful.
No, Leon, it's just Kagan's.
Kagan.
He wasn't even, paid?
Yeah.
I can imagine that Meatloaf wasn't paid for his appearance in this.
Yeah, that's right. He didn't even have to... He brought his own teeth. He just loves vampires.
Yes, he just loves them. She bites off his ear.
Yeah.
And is then rescued by Michael Madsen and the unknown actor, who kill Meatloaf with sunlight. Yeah, that was worthwhile.
That's a classic vampire thing.
Yeah. Kills him with sunlight, even though he's hiding on just as many clothes as we've seen Christiana Loken, Rain, hide herself in whilst riding around to the Ring music. But,
You're thinking when you should be watching.
You should be watching the boobs. So, Michelle Rodriguez has some lines in a row for the first time in the movie, revealing that she's actually doing an accent. I didn't realize that until this stage.
I am loyal to you, Vladimir. Yet you are breaking the very laws and teachings you swore by. Your newfound faith scares me. What will happen to Brimstone in the event of battle?
So, yeah, they all bond over some exposition they have and agree to work together to fight Ben Kingsley, as we all must too.
Yes.
You must not be allowed to gain power.
Again, this film is actually instructional.
It absolutely is. We should all be Bloodrayne.
Yes, we all should be Bloodrayne.
There's a training scene. Rodriguez is obviously going to betray them to her Billy Dad. They ostensibly bond. There's an awkward sex scene in which she rides his stomach for all it's worth.
And it's weirdly or the audio for that is like straight off a porn set. It is.
Yes.
Intense.
Well, they have the very interesting audio motif of her holding open a cage door and banging it shut as they sort of ride.
Yeah.
It was a curious sequence.
Very, very. One might wonder.
Well, she gets given some nearly identical clothes and some nearly identical weapons. And, oh yeah, here we go. Rodriguez betrays them to her Billy Dad.
Yay.
And, yay, all the monastery gets killed. But they were away at the time? I can't remember why. They went off. The three. The
Macca's
Warriors
run.
3. Macca's run.
Yeah.
Oh no! We've got so many burgers.
We had burgers for everyone. Now they're all gone. These are going to get cold. What a waste. Oh, the McDonald's burgers, mate. They don't go off.
Yeah, they're fine. They're future-proof. Billy asked for one with just mustard. Nobody's going to eat that except him. No.
Mustard and pickles. That's it. It's just it's extra mustard and extra pickles. Yeah. What kind of burger order is that? I love it. Look,
we're going to make Ben Kingsley eat this.
It's garlic he's allergic to, not pickles. Well, yeah, it's
everyone's allergic to pickles.
Oh, terrible.
Tell you what, though, we're running out of time with Ben Kingsley, so we'd best get his Saruman speech in as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Scour the land, find brimstone and destroy it. Bring the Damphia to me. Leave no human alive that crosses you. The promise of eternal life awaits those who succeed. Those who fail will find only death.
We've got that set location for only a short amount of time. Let's go. Get it done, Ben.
Go find them, conquer everything. See you back here in 5. Bye.
Bye.
Ben's off. Yeah. So I start writing summaries of about 6 scenes, but they are of no consequence, and so stop writing about them. So eventually...
Eventually is the correct word.
Yes, Rain goes off to find the heart alone, but Rodriguez is already there. So they have an underwater fight that leads Rodriguez to getting killed by Rain underwater. So
above the water.
Yeah.
Rodriguez surfaces and then Rain fucking snaps her neck, which is...
Oh, yes, that's right. Stabbed.
Intense.
Yes, she gets stabbed underwater and then they come up and then gets
and
her.
And then drains her blood after killing her, which is a vampire faux pas in my eyes. As a vampire
Absolutely,
expert.
and gains her accent.
Yes, that's right. Absorbs the power of the accent. But now she has the heart or whatever, which is a bargaining chip for Big Bad Ben.
Yes! She doesn't absorb it straight away. She takes it to Ben Kingsley so that she can sort of kill him. But twist. They take the heart to Kingsley, but don't take her to Kingsley. It's outrageous.
What?
No one could have predicted this.
Oh my goodness.
Put her in jail.
Yeah.
It's highly, highly just... it's a, what do you call it? A litany against them.
Yes.
It's a shame on them, really.
Also, Mazden and unnamed male protagonist who had sex with Rain get captured and put in jails.
Yes, they get themselves captured and arrested, and finally this team is back together. Oh, I've missed them.
Oh, the trio.
That repartee. Oh, God. She gives a stirring speech that's good enough to have Michael Madsen sleepily stir from his sitting position and decide to help out once again.
Yay.
And he yells out to the guard, "Hey, the guy I was just in a cell with has disappeared." "Oh, okay. Put your arms through the bars so that I can shackle you. I'll get some other guards to watch from a safe distance whilst I come in and investigate." Fuck it. I'll explore my own.
Yeah, I'm a thrall, which means that my brain don't work too good. I believe a vampire when he promised me immortality. I'm not that sharp, mate.
I'm one of the peons from Warcraft.
Yeah.
You, guard that cell.
Job done. Job done. Grub time.
Okay.
Oh, what a great game. Anyway.
That was a great game. I miss those games. I miss the RTS games.
Yeah, honestly.
At least I have Warcraft 3 reforged.
Oof. Good times. Good times.
Good times. Anyway, final boss Kingsley. Main character is strapped to a table whilst the unnamed actor and Michael Madsen's stunt double fight a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
They each get stabbed once and then they win.
That's enough.
That'll do. Kingsley dies. Oh, so does Madsen and the guy who can't be named. Wonder what happened to Billy Zane. The end.
Yep.
Well, that's a question before we move on to reviews of the movie. Did you play Bloodrayne?
No.
Nor did I. I played a demo of it, I think.
I think I did too.
I remember liking how the character control felt, but not being... Because isn't it weirdly set during World War II?
It is. It is weirdly set during World War II. And I say that because this film was not set during World War II.
It was not set during World War II. It was set back in vampire times.
Yes.
Which is a more boring decision. Like, honestly, pitching the idea of a vampire story set in World War II is pretty cool.
So I understand that the video game is based on a lady called Rain who is off as a 2002 release, and she fights Nazis. Or yes, Nazi vampires.
Nazi vampires? Nazi vampires. Come on now.
She's just a regular vampire, and she fights Nazi vampires.
She dislikes the pro-Aryan ideologies of the Nazi vampires. The fact that they're vampires is almost immaterial. She just doesn't like their beliefs.
Yeah. So yeah,
excellent.
I don't know why you didn't choose to do that, Mr. Boll. Were you hoping for more sequels?
That's pretty much all of Boll's career is, why didn't you adapt the game? You know, there's such a good premise within the game. Why didn't you do that and decided to do something completely unrelated instead?
I guess if you don't try, then you can't fail.
There you go. We weren't trying to adapt the game.
No.
We were just like riffing on it.
Yeah, man. It's like poetry. It just rhymes. It just works.
It does. It just works.
It just works.
So what did you think of Bloodrayne, the movie?
Cool. My note at the end of my notes, my final note literally says... And my final note is, it's horrible.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's very bad. The trouble with this is that everything that would make a bad movie engaging is not there.
Yep.
So there's no titillation.
That's what sucks about Boll.
Yes, there's no titillation. There's no kind of like, I can't guiltily watch this as like a pleasure piece where I'm like, oh, I get to see a little bit of booby, or I get to see some like cool violence, or like I get to see characters doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing. It's like, no, this is so maudlin and boring that
I know.
It sucks the fun out of what is fundamentally a great premise. Woman with leather vest on is vampire. She fights Nazis and bounces around doing it, and she's hot.
And hey, and we can't say anything against Christiana Loken's physicality, which is pretty on point for what you want. I mean, my God. But yeah, you're right.
Woman.
It's just she really is. But there is just something deeply unerotic. Like if you look at the great sort of sexploitation directors like Russ Meyer, there's no equivalent going on here, and that I think is why, even though there is this now great appreciation of So Bad They're Good movies, which sees people like, obviously Tommy Wiseau, but James Wen, Neil Breen, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Boll has not developed that cult because his movies just aren't fun bad. They're boring bad. He's not a crazy auteur working on the fringes of society. He's a sci-fi TV movie director, is what he is. And he just makes stuff that's quite dull.
More than that, he makes stuff which is safe in the worst way possible.
Right.
So rather than like in Postal, I think it's J.K. Simmons who in the movie there's a speech about how the people who died in the 9/11 attacks are not heroes, they're victims. And Simmons picked the film Postal for that speech. He's interested in that concept, which is a controversial but interesting idea. And it goes nowhere in the film. It's mentioned
it's
once
nothing.
as an offhand thing.
Yeah.
And that's because
And
Boll
that
is fundamentally safe in everything that he does. He isn't interested in actually making anything that makes you think or makes you deeply feel. He wants to kind of waste your time in a kind of miaze and be like, you know what? Yeah.
No, absolutely, because I think in order to be properly offensive, you do actually have to think about it. Otherwise, you're just being adolescent. You know, you're just being a sort of, you know, throwing things against the wall. Oh, we'll show terrorists and we'll do poop jokes and, you know, rape jokes and all stuff like this. And it's just, you know, any given teenager can be as provocative as this. You know, in order to actually properly be offensive, you do have to engage with the material. And that is a fundamental thing that Uwe Boll is not willing to do. And I did just forget the wrinkle that you did actually watch Postal, didn't you? Before
I did, yes.
You became too ill to join us to discuss it.
That's
movie. Worse.
I've watched that movie like 8 times.
What the hell?
I've watched that movie. It was one when I must have been like 2016 or something like that. I had a whole bunch of like house stuff and personal stuff happened where I found myself like 6 month span without internet. And
oh wow.
Yeah, and I had some movies on my computer. One of them was Dodgeball. One of them was Apocalypse Now. One of them was Postal.
Wow.
And
oh god.
Yeah, it was a time. And I had to watch those movies kind of like back to back to back to kind of keep myself from going insane. And
that's incredible.
Yeah, it was a time, and it's a shame because I took the DVD player out of my computer before then. So otherwise I would have just bought DVDs. But I've seen Postal a lot, and it is really, really interesting when you've got like Howard and Kumar doing more edgy stuff.
Yeah, exactly, because they're willing to actually go there and have some insight into the sort of cultures, because they're doing jokes about being Asian American and you know, and things like that. And it's like, because they know, because they see stuff and they can say things about their community that, you know, may seem shocking to us, but are very funny to them. And that's, you know, something. And that's not something Boll is willing to engage with. Like, you know,
he's not willing to engage with anything
he has to say. No, like, all of his stuff to do with, like, you know, terrorism or Nazis or anything else is just the most surface level, because he's just fundamentally not interested in putting the effort in.
He's not. He's also just not interested in. He's not interested in making something that requires energy. Like he fundamentally lacks a passion for film, and you can tell that
ironically.
in the music and editing.
He's not even bad enough for it to be funny.
No,
he's not even operating at a Neil Breen sense where it's like, Jesus, how did this get made? He's clearly working with a professional film crew who are just being told to try their very least, and who don't feel inspired to try any harder, because everything is relatively competent, moments like that excluded, and so it's just boring.
Well, it's
just
exactly
his signature.
that. Exactly that.
Yeah.
I mean, the acting is not good.
Oh God, they have nothing to do.
But
they have nothing to do because.
But you can imagine an actor on set seeing what they can get away with him, just saying the words, being like, apparently, according to what I've read, Madsen was drunk a lot through the filming of this.
Yes, it looks it.
And so you can imagine him having a couple of drinks, having drinks with the director maybe, and then jumping up on set and being like, barely articulating his way through a scene.
Yeah,
and
he's
the director being
tired drunk.
Yeah, it's tired drunk. And you can imagine the director being like, Uwe Boll being like, all right, check the gate. We got it, move on. And Madsen being like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Are you fucking serious? I did that as a joke. And they're like, no, we're moving on.
Yeah,
you can imagine the film, the fucking culture on set of everyone looking around being like, oh, that's all we need to do. No one is holding us to a higher standard. No one's even holding us to a good standard. They're holding us to get it done, move on.
Deadlines are what matters here. They needed to get things done by a certain time. And it's so annoying because if you give me, you know, if you get Ben Kingsley, you know, and Udo Kier and Geraldine Chapman and Billy Zane and Meatloaf to sign up to a vampire movie, give me a day of filming with each one. I'll get good stuff.
I fucking love Michelle Rodriguez. She's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll get big performances and crazy moments, but everybody is sleepwalking because fundamentally, and you see this across all of Uwe Boll's films, he does not care about character at all. He cannot pace a story. Everything feels like you're rushing to the end. And his aesthetic is this very bland 90s, noughties fantasy film look, which makes the violence and nudity often quite surprising, because you feel like you're watching a TV movie, like The Sword of Xanten or something, which also had Kristanna Loken in it.
Yeah.
And then suddenly boobs or blood will show up, and you're like, oh, shit, you can show that during the daytime? Oh, no, hang on a minute. I'm not watching the Sci-Fi Channel. Sorry,
yeah, that's right.
Channel.
I'm watching a movie that I've paid money to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Unfortunately. Hopefully you have, dear listener, if you have made the mistake of going out and finding this movie and listening to it. Though I do recommend now with the new Twitter rules that we can harass the absolute hell out. I shouldn't say that on a podcast. But Uwe Boll is on Twitter.
New normal.
So
is he actually?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's around there. Of course he would. It's
Amazing.
a cesspit. I live there. But I have the good taste to hate myself for being on Twitter.com. I don't think
it's the
Uwe
only
Boll
responsible
does.
way.
Yeah, that's
to
right.
use Twitter. Oh God, I will say, I think this might be the best Uwe Boll film I've seen, because I've only seen 3: Alone in the Dark, Postal, and this. I think that's right.
I would say Postal is better.
So. Oh, there's more going on.
I would say
there's
Postal
certainly
is
more going on.
As
Yeah,
well, but I would say
you know
Postal
what? Maybe
is better.
Postal. It's more engaging to watch. I think you might be right. This one's more boring than Postal.
Yes, I can hate Postal, and I do.
Yes, it's irritating.
Yes.
Yes, you're right. Postal is irritating, and that keeps you engaged with it.
Yeah, so it's easier to hate.
Fair.
Whereas this, I think, is less. This is like this is like a white car pulling up at the front of your house and being like, oh yeah, I guess that's just a car there. Whereas Postal is a car crash happening out the front of your house.
Yeah, into your house.
Yeah, into your house. And you go, oh my God, something's happening. I literally can't think of an appropriate metaphor for Bloodrayne. A car pulling out the front of your house? This movie sapped my creativity. Fuck this movie. God.
You know how sometimes a car pulls up in front of the house
Jesus
and you
Christ.
with it?
Leave that in, please. That's a terrible thing to even fucking say. What does that even mean, Paul? This movie is a car pulling out the front of your house.
It really is.
Why is it there? You don't know. Are you going to look at it again? Probably not. It's not even an interesting colour. It's white. Can you discern what type of car is it? No. It's not even white bread, because that's an insult to white bread. It's not even... It's stale water.
It really is. It's nothing. It's completely unnourishing. And yet, in spite of all that, let us now consider the good things. Let us quickfire. Quickfire. I'll lead with the most petty one, which is that when the opening font comes up on the map, that was some PS3 era font. I know it's a PS2 game, but like the font itself really put me in mind of like a PS3 game of some sorts, with its over design, because PS3 used to be quite minimalist kind of design and sort of fonts, but yeah, this really felt like a PlayStation 3 game. Is the titles.
I really, really enjoyed the Hieronymus Bosch paintings in the background of the intro. I was like, cool art, but it is all preceded by the words "an Uwe Boll film."
I know, and they've tried to sneakily slip their own production art in there as well.
Yes.
Like maybe you might think there's a lady with the arm swords in the Hieronymus Bosch picture.
Yeah, I didn't mind that, but before all of that, seeing Uwe Boll as the thing, it tainted it. But I can appreciate fine art when I see it, and I like it being leveraged to kind of set a tone. I mean, it's a tone that we don't see any more of, but I can acknowledge that the hard-working editors who are like, just get some classic paintings, put it together. That'll give us a vibe.
Absolutely. And I'll say, of that beginning, I feel like I was very immediately surprised by the production value, which I assumed he must have nicked from another set. Although it did cost $25 million, this movie, I think. So there was some money behind it, but like the little town and all the costumes and the fact that he went to the effort of actually shooting coverage, he probably got the B unit to do it, of like medieval people doing medieval things, like killing chickens and the like.
You can actually see which is filmed with B, because it's not as flat. They actually use depth of field, which is weird that the location shots and the B-roll footage is actually more interesting.
Yeah.
because it's probably a team that is working. It's like, okay, we've got to get these shots, and they got to look good for Mr. Boll, and he comes in. Oh yeah, okay, whatever. Moving on.
Yeah, they instinctively use some artistry in spite of being warned against it.
In spite of themselves. How dare they? How dare they think they're better than any human being ever? But yes, they are actually shot well, and the production is very nice. It was shot in Romania, I think. The film.
Yes, it was. And whenever there is establishing shots of like activity, it always is like much more interesting footage than the rest of the movie. Like whenever they have to establish the circus, there's some stuff going on, and it's quite good. So
there's a nice crane. There's a nice crane shot that drops that tracks down. Or tracks across, and we get some nice lighting design and set design in the circus as well. Yeah, that's a good point. Well done, B team.
Well done, B team.
I really liked Ben's costume, Mr. Kingsley's costume.
Oh God!
It's very nice, and it has an ornate sword. It's very fancy. It does remind me.
It's like a rapier.
It is a rapier with a gold stylized hilt, and it does remind me of my old vampire LARPing days. I think I've seen a person in that costume before, which is great. Because,
Ben Kingsley cosplay.
Yeah, there you go. He even had the ponytail down the back of his neck. But yeah, leather and gothic inspired Victorian era shit. I love it. I'm about that. That's my niche, man. That's my whole aesthetic. Well, one of my whole aesthetics, anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the looks you can go to.
Yeah, that's right. It's one of my go-tos.
When a mood strikes you, it's in the closet.
Mood.
Yeah. Some of the Carney massacre looked pretty good. In fact, in general, it's really weird because the violence in the movie is mostly practical effects, and there's some very good moments of blood spraying everywhere and good stuff. It's incredible that Boll manages to make that boring because he keeps doing it the exact same way. There are so many people who get their stomachs sliced open with swords and then blood flies everywhere, and it's the exact same shot. I don't think it is literally the same shot, but it is the same shot they have set up for every time it happens, and you do get bored of this kind of incredible violence. It's really strange, but early on, there were moments where I could appreciate it before it got repetitive.
Can I propose that maybe they had the same prosthetic over and over and over? And
they just the same rig.
Yeah, I think. I think Boll is a great study, and don't apply to Malice what you could apply to
incompetence. You're right.
And how we actually hate that maybe more. The one good thing, I really liked the fortune teller who gave us a fucking huge info dump. But was really, really articulate. She was, at this point, the most articulate character. Everyone else had kind of mumbled their way through their lines. But she spoke clearly and set tone and had even pace to her language, which I'm sure frustrated Mr. Boll. But it was engaging. I don't typically go for a huge info dump, but it was interesting to go oh, okay, so the reason why you are what you are is because you're the child of a vampire and a human person, and that makes you a dampier, and your dad is big and bad and evil, and you should probably go off and kill him.
My tales hold some truth, I see.
There was a man.
A man? Kagan? Kagan's not a man, he's a vampire, and you are his creation.
He killed my mother.
Dampiers are rarely a product of a happy union between a vampire and a human.
Absolutely, and it's just Geraldine Chapman. She's so good because she feels like she's engaging with the character. She doesn't feel like she's been put on a set and is saying her lines to a vacant space, which is what everyone else feels like.
Yes.
She actually engages and feels like she's responding, and she did put me in mind of her character from Nashville a little bit, and just the way she sort of excitedly jumps in to try and talk to her. It got me. So congratulations to her and standing out. Meanwhile, my one is an actor who is pretty bad in this, but I will always just find him charming anyway, is Billy Zane.
Yeah.
Who really, like you say, there's nothing about his performance that suggests he is doing a period piece, which is a shame because he's usually pretty good at period. He was in Sally Potter's Orlando. He was in, Titanic, of course. He's usually pretty good at feeling like a man out of time, and even The Phantom. But here... In fact, Holmes and Watson as well. He very rarely plays contemporary actors. He makes sense in the past. Even in Twin Peaks, actually, he shows up as this like, kind of foppish, old-fashioned guy.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
Anyway, he makes no effort in this, and yet still he's there delivering his lines. He looks bored, and I still find him quite charming.
I propose that he functions a similar way to when Uwe Boll is interviewed in Postal by the guy who...
oh, yeah.
Yeah, that scene.
Yeah.
The guy who's sharing the stage with Boll, I think Zane and him have this common thing of they're probably involved, like they are working together in a way that just allows them to fucking do whatever the fuck they want, and Boll isn't really behind the camera, doesn't really care at this point, and it's just like, do whatever you want, mate.
Yeah,
it's funny. It's great.
Probably it.
And he wasn't. I don't think he appears in much of the rest of the film, so he's just like he wouldn't know the tone for the rest of the film, and he's helping out with production. Distribution. So I'm sure he's like, oh, it's a campy, silly vampire film. Great, I can sell those. And he's playing that way, and then probably turned around and went, what the fuck was everyone else doing?
What movie were you in?
Yeah, exactly. My next good thing is the neck snap after the water fight.
Yeah.
It's a really quick... I feel as though Boll wasn't on set, because it's quick, it's efficient, it's like classic kind of like neck snappy, right, where the body and the actors don't actually do the thing that they need to do. But in that kind of classic 90s, 2000s action, even 80s, like, you know, you can imagine Schwarzenegger doing something like this, right? Where it's just crack, moving on, and Rodriguez dies. And it's like, oh my goodness, that was quick and savage, and then she gets her blood drank, which is cool. That's vampire stuff right there to heal the wounds. We set up a thing, we paid it off. Woo! Look at that filmmaking.
Yeah.
Which makes me think it was B-Team that did that scene.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. And it's like, she's not going to be overly sentimental just because, you know, it's a main character. Like, you know, it's still a fight to the death, and she's going to do what she's going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. I enjoyed the footage. In spite of how weird the music is, I enjoyed the footage of horses going over mountains. It's very Lord of the Ringsy for me, and Romania is a gorgeous country, so it got me into the fantasy mindset. So well done for that.
The thing I quite enjoyed, very early on, the hunters, the trio, Rodriguez. Who else was it?
Rodriguez, Madsen, and the guy who wasn't there. The man who wasn't there.
I think it's
Sebastian.
Yes, the character's name is Sebastian. The actor's name is Matthew Davies. All three of them have cool costumes. They got trench coats.
Yeah.
I love a vampire hunter in a trench coat. That's a fucking cool thing, man. More of those, please. Bring back the 90s.
It put me in mind of Van Helsing.
Yeah.
You know, Hugh Jackman.
Yeah. Classic movie. Okay,
a creepy visual. And again, this isn't an establishing shot, so it might have been B.
Almost certainly.
At Meatloaf's orgy, there is a woman in a full sort of Victorian dress, a nice dress, shackled with her one arm up and the other arm is hanging down by her side, cut open, and the vampires are using her as a kind of like, like a beer barrel kind of situation. They're just using her hand as like a tap.
Yes.
And holding a mug under it to collect some blood and then taking it away. That was a creepy visual. It made me wonder who she was. You know, why is she wearing such a nice dress? You know, was she lured here? You know, what's going on with her?
Was she one of the
creepy.
Other people that Meatloaf had in his orgy, and now she's been disposed of? Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's a cool idea that if you have vampires, you probably need to have humans to kind of counterbalance the whole morality thing, not just vampire hunters. I kind of love that aesthetic as well of like vampires reducing humans to like usable things. I think is a really cool trope in vampire stuff. So I really appreciated that stuff as well. It was great.
It was, and just the image of her like just hanging there, you know, in her nice dress, just sort of stood there. It just put me in mind of like Night of the Hunter, the scene where like is it Shelley Winters or something? She's like under the water in her car, and it's just really eerie, like just drifting there dead. Like it's kind of creeping me out.
That was a good part. I really I thought the Thrall, My Companion Is Gone, which I believe was
Michael Madsen, I think, says.
Yeah, Madsen says that to escape the dungeon.
My companion is gone. I don't know what's become of him.
It was such a shitty line.
Yes.
And delivered so funny. And I believe the sound effect where the friend drops down to kick the thrall guard in the chest is a fairly kinetic sound effect. It's such a cheesy thing. In a less violent film, it would be perfect. That is exactly the sort of thing that you actually want to see. Those kind of cheesy, funny escapes where you're like, oh no, my friend's gone. And then he's in the roof and he drops down, kicks him in the chest. Great, fantastic. And they escape.
Absolutely. It's a bit of old adventuring fun.
Exactly.
Absolutely. When she gets her sword broken during training, of all things, the sword breaks, and she gets a bit sentimental. You know, it's very overwrought, of course, and we get flashbacks of the friend who gave it to her, who was this circus performer who was inexplicably performing with these sort of weird blades. Nevertheless, it was a moment that related her to her past and that act of kindness, and the person she accidentally killed as well.
Yes.
Yeah, there was the potential there for a warm moment that was not quite earned by the film, and yet nevertheless, maybe that was one of the throwbacks from the, Genevieve Turner's script. Maybe that was one of the 20% that survived.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, Billy Zane saying, "Stop throwing things at me."
I assume you were expecting this message from Brimstone, from Catherine.
Just stop throwing things at me.
It was very mild because someone had just basically thrown a head across his table and then just threw like a pen at him.
Yeah,
and like, stop throwing things at me. Rain lies to her friends about Catherine's betrayal. Michelle Rodriguez betrayed them, but she decides not to tell them that. She decides to tell them that she probably died fighting for their cause.
Yes.
That was sweet. It was a sweet moment.
Good idea.
Yeah. And the moment where we've got Bloodrayne on the bottom, she screams and she stabs upwards at Ben Kingsley, who goes, "Bleh!"
Yes.
And it's very nearly silly enough for me to be having fun when that happens, because they're both going very big.
I think it feels big because everything else has been tiny.
Yeah.
And it doesn't get there. My last one is around the 41-minute. We're with Meatloaf, and he's trying to get the eye, the artifact that allows you to resist water from rain. He says, "Give it to me, I'll rip it out of your face!" Which is a great line, and he delivers it with such like camp ferocity that I'm like, yes, this is what the whole movie should be. I think he does. You could play it, but like it's a give it to me, I'll rip it out of your face sort of thing, and I'm like, whoa, that is a desire right there. I love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool moment.
Love it. Fantastic. Excellent. Well, oh shit. Sorry, it just occurred to me, I don't have a Goodman here to find out what the OG team had to say about anything.
Oh no,
so
we'll
I
have to find out what
I got to do that.
The OG team feels. OG team.
Sorry, I've just... Oh dear. Twitter has already become a deeply unpleasant place to go.
Oh, good.
I've just... Yay. It's... Oh god, it's my friends. I hate this. I have people on Twitter I like a lot, but what they do is they respond and like and quote tweets from people who are awful so they can call out how terrible they are.
Ah, yes.
The disadvantage being it means I have to see the terrible thing.
Hot take, quote tweeting sucks. Try not to do it as often.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Especially if it's things you hate.
Yes. Most of the
I
time,
can really
it's not
do with
great.
not seeing that. Okay, to the safety of OGT. Here we go. Right. Yes. Bloatbusters podcast got in touch to say it made me more aware of the video game, which was campy fun and totally aware of what it was. I can't give you more than that, as I've never seen it because, well, it's an Uwe Boll film. Yes, it is self-prescribing in that sense, isn't it? It's yeah, it's gonna put you off. Yeah, that's absolutely fair enough. And yes, it would have to be campy fun, right? It's a movie where you fight against Nazi vampires. It's hard to do that stoically and in a deep and dark, brooding way. So, yeah, I'm glad. BT Calloway says, I've seen this, but can't remember anything that stands out. Her Tomfer blade things are cool. So that's what they're called.
Interesting.
Okay. Thank you for that. Important context. Go over to the relative safety of Facebook. Meta, I should say, I suppose.
No, let's keep calling it Facebook. If we call
Let's
it Meta,
stick to-
he wins. We can't have that.
Oh.
I'm not having another billionaire win.
We've had it far too many weeks.
They've had it easy for far too long. I say we change that up a little bit.
That's Jennifer Soanes replying to the Scream. Don't worry, we did get it in time. Okay. Nope, nothing on any of that man's social media platforms. That just leaves our delicious Patreons. I don't know how they taste.
Good. I do. As a vampire lover,
Okay.
I can tell you that they taste delicious.
What do you mean our Patreon is just a way of us screening people to then subsequently feast upon?
Yeah.
You're out of your mind. No way that's true. I'd know. Absolutely. Okay, yes, we have got one. We've got Luke. Oh, God. How do you say your name? Luke Ciancio. I'm going to say. Oh, God, I'm so sorry if that's wrong. Says, so this was my first Uwe Boll film, and I can safely say I have no idea what was going on at any point. Are they all like this? I have 3 good things. The Romanian countryside, mountains, and castles were absolutely stunning. Agreed there. The one time the tone of the dialogue in this film really worked for me was when Davis and Madsen trick the thrall into thinking one of them has disappeared, just the way that Madsen delivers the line about his companion being gone is perfect. Okay, so Luke very much getting inside of our heads. And Billy Zane's line, stop throwing things at me, had me in a complete deadpan, made me laugh a lot. Also, you'll make him a 3-minute at this rate. So there's Luke, uncannily predicting our reactions to films.
There we are. We are one. We are one group here. We are all thralls to the film, the OGT team.
We're all just in the OG team, and I think it's about time. Right. Brief word then. Do you have a one better thing? The one better thing.
One better thing.
The one better thing. A one better thing. The one better thing.
I didn't even prepare one. Let me remind myself of
I didn't either. I'm scrolling through a list of vampire movies to try and remind myself of something. I will say, if anyone hasn't, for whatever reason, I'm always amazed at the things that are getting old as I age. And if there are any young people listening who didn't, for whatever reason, go back and watch the Blade trilogy, I think I'd recommend all 3, even the third one. I think they're just good fun. I mean, the first one, you've got Steve Norrington. It's a very underrated, I think, relatively serious vampire movie that's still a superhero movie that holds up really well. And then the second one is Guillermo del Toro. Obviously, you need to watch that. And then the third one, God, oh no, I hope it's not Brett Ratner who directed it. I think it might be. In spite of that, I still really enjoy it. You've got Ryan Reynolds trying out for Deadpool in his early years. And, no, it was David S. Goyer who directed it because he had a massive fight with Wesley Snipes, that's right. So in spite of the troubled production of that movie, I think it still is quite a lot of fun. Obviously the weakest of the 3, but nevertheless, give it a watch. For your vampire hunting needs.
Yeah, you gotta have some vampire hunting. I'm gonna suggest something. Usually, I like to think that I try to watch like generally pretty good films. Now after subjecting myself to quite a lot of shit during that brief period of time where I didn't have access to good films.
Or any films.
Yeah, really. There's a couple that I might recommend. But I think the one that is going to take it for me is... okay, I'm going to suggest 2, if I may. Underworld, the 2003 film. Because while it's not good at all, it does have a very clear aesthetic. And that aesthetic is of that era. Like, it's a kind of timeless film.
Oh, it so is.
Right?
It's post-Matrix, but it's so, like, goth. Like, noughties goth.
Yes.
Yeah, it's big time.
It's very much what I grew up on as my, like, aesthetic.
Yeah.
I was the guy with the long leather trench coat. Yes, that was me. I was the guy who played, like, Vampire the Masquerade and was, like, edgy edgelord kind of guy. Yes, for sure. I thought that was being mature and an adult, and I was very wrong. But I think that the film that I will go to is Vampire Hunter D, the anime.
Oh, yeah.
It's an anime film, and it is about a vampire hunter who I believe is also a vampire from memory, and goes off to fight a big bad vampire. And it is Vampire Hunter D has a talking creature in their hand, which makes wisecrack jokes. And that's all this. And it's great. It's beautiful. It's beautifully animated. But that's all this film needed to be. Pick something. Pick a genre. Pick a tone. Do it well.
Yeah.
Is it serious? Is it about sexual assault? And does that have a place in this film or whatever? But yeah, Vampire Hunter D. Good
Just
movie.
have a
character.
character. Check it out. Have a character to experience the things that you are putting, subjecting them to. It will really help.
Yeah.
But yeah, Vampire Hunter D. And I remember I had I don't know if it's a follow-up because the world of anime can be quite chaotic in that sense. But what was the one that was... Oh god, it came out shortly after. I just had it, but now it's gone.
Not Hellsing.
Bloodlust?
Bloodlust. Oh, yes.
Yeah, Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. I think it was about them trying to get inside of this big castle, if I remember correctly, and to sort of fight their way in. Nevertheless, I remember watching both of them the same day when I was a teenager and really enjoying both.
Yes.
So, but yeah, that first Vampire Hunter D is a solid One Better Thing. The One Better Thing. Okay, Chris, how can people find out about your endeavors, about how to get more? How to get more of your blood?
People can join me in the hellscape that is twitter.com at Bonding Chris is, I believe, my Twitter handle. Yep, Bonding Chris. People can also check out the Roll to Cast channel. That's ROLE to cast, not ROLL, but ROLE, Roll to Cast. Mm-hmm. And join me, Sean, Ellen, and Phil as we play role-playing games in different settings. And have a good old time. And the illustrious Paul Goodman composes the music for most of those seasons. So he's a very good young man. I wish him all the best. If you're listening, Paul, which you should be, of course, you should be listening to your own work to analyze and contrast. But yeah, and if you're in the Adelaide area, I direct things. So I direct film and theatre. So probably come see a show of mine or whatever at some point.
Absolutely.
Whenever I get around to it. We're also doing a live show for Roll to Cast in the Adelaide Fringe, which will be cool. So if you're in Adelaide in February or March, come see me in the flesh at Roll to Cast Live as part of the Adelaide Fringe. I think that's all the important things, isn't it? I think so. That's my life concisely summarised on the internet. Or my life on the internet concisely summarised. Whichever way we want to wrap that. Yeah.
You've got to develop the elevator pitch for your entire existence.
Yes, that is life under capitalism, isn't it?
It sure is.
Yeah.
Well, if you'd like to know about literally everything I do, just ask yourself why. Why that? This was good, wasn't it? Just leave it at this.
Yeah.
We had this beautiful moment together. Let's just leave it there. But if you absolutely insist, you can find me at SaltyFilm on Twitter. We're obviously OGT. That's all you need is OGT Pod. Type it into everything. And you should be able to find out about us. You can't do one good thing, because our SEO still is mostly taken up by that lady with her gardening blog, and I hope that none of you are taking it upon yourselves to try and intimidate her into giving up her domain, because that won't be on.
No, that would be terrible. Don't do that, audience. Don't
do that.
Don't.
God, it would be terrible if they could actually see me winking right now.
Yeah, that would be dreadful.
Oh, God, they might... Oh, ugh.
They might actually do it. Do it.
Yeah.
I don't know why I repeated that phrase 3 times, but I did.
That's fair. I can't edit it out either.
No. And that's my statement saying I don't know why I did it legally protects me from any harassment that I've encouraged through that.
Absolutely it does. I'm Paul, don't know why I do that.
And I've been Crunchy Vampire Boy.
On Twitter.
On Twitch.
On Twitch.
Yeah. Coming soon, apparently.
On Quibi.
Yeah.
And remember, the one Quibi thing about... God almighty, this is deteriorating. About Uwe Boll's Bloodrayne is... what's the uniting thing? It's Romania is just, as a country, really hot.
Yeah. It really is.